I am here by special appearance, and I reserve all my rights, and I waive none of them. I am the beneficiary and priority lien holder via a Kansas UCC lien. I have the authority to order you as trustees dismiss and discharge this court matter. I did admit to purchasing marijuana illegally in Missouri, and
so between the state's evidence and yours, I find you.
This sovereign citizen claims he's personally freed 9 federal inmates from prison. Yet he finds himself a guest of Butler County, Kansas right now. His first step after arraignment was to fire his lawyer and go it alone at trial. Let's follow Gary, or Garrison, or whatever he calls himself, through this case from start to finish to see a master in self-ownage at work. We'll start with the January 23rd arraignment. Let's roll this.
All right, sir, you have been arrested in Butler County. The Butler County Attorney's Office, the prosecutor's office, has charged you with interference with law enforcement, possession of marijuana, driving while suspended, and failure to properly register your vehicle. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas for you because you also are being held on this out-of-state warrant, and I think that you might want to talk to an attorney about these charges, plus talk to them about your out-of-state hold.
Your Honor, I have a question if I can talk.
Yes.
The car I was driving belongs to Heirloom Trust, and the trustee lent me the car. It was just registered the day before, brand new plates.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get that charge dismissed. If that's the case. That won't be a problem. It's the other more serious stuff that you have going on.
Judge, I do have an announcement to make. I have met with Mr. Pelosi. We've discussed his case. During that discussion, he did make it clear he wanted to represent himself rather than have counsel. So based upon that, Judge, I'm asking the court to allow me to withdraw.
Okay, Mr. Pelosi, is that accurate?
Yes, sir. I didn't know we weren't going to be in court today. I have motions here that I don't know how to get into court because the jail don't have mailing envelopes. I thought I was going to be in court so I can give it to your clerk, and I'm going to need to ask to push this maybe forward so I can find a way to get it into the court.
Well, Mr. Pelosi, what you're discussing is one of the complications of representing yourself. What's your educational background, sir?
High school and two years of broadcasting school, and I graduated broadcasting school, so I had 14 years of school. And I had 2 years of business law.
Why is it you want to represent yourself as opposed to Mr. Patterson, who's an experienced attorney in this district? And
well, I'm going to tell you, I've advocated for prisoners in federal prison, and I have personally have gotten out 9 federal inmates myself. Also, in conjunction.
Generally, that's when somebody that's advocating for them, it's because they are a federal inmate of themselves. Is that correct? For you?
No.
What's your experience in regards to filing motions and so forth?
I have a lot of experience in it, sir.
What is the nature of your motions at this juncture?
A notice in demand. It's really a notice in demand. I got evidence to bring forward.
Sometimes what I've done and other judges do is allow a person to represent themselves, but also have standby counsel available. Would you be receptive to that procedure?
No, sir.
Is there a particular reason why?
Right, because we haven't established the court's jurisdiction just yet. Sir, I'm one of the people, and I am the beneficiary for the defendant. You're a corporate judge, and that's a corporate attorney, and I'm one of the private people of this country. So I want to represent myself. Well, I want discovery. I want the video of the officer's cam, and that's evidence in itself.
Well, and I understand that, and a certain amount of discovery is appropriate. Again, it's a lot easier with counsel.
Sir,
if you're okay, I'm going to set this matter for trial.
Sir, let me ask you this question. Are you a member of the bar in good standing?
I've been a practicing judge for the last over 5 years, sir, and yes.
Okay, is the prosecutor a member of the bar in good standing?
Okay, I'm not going to go playing your games here,
Well,
sir.
we have a conflict.
Sir, I'm going to set this matter down for hearings March 25th at 1:30.
Ma'am, we haven't established the status of this court yet. I don't know you. Do you have a valid oath of office?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, I accept your oath of office and your offer to be my public servant and trustee.
I'm not your trustee in the legal sense or in any sense, sir.
You're a public trustee, ma'am.
Call me what you will, but I'm not accepting it. Go ahead.
I would like you to take notice of the notice and demand that this court has received on Monday, and as the prosecution here to provide evidence from that notice and demand.
Fax transmission sheet, date March 23rd, 26, to the clerk of the District Court, Butler County, State of Kansas versus Gary Michael Pelosa, from Shelley Flaherty, Loren Court Reporting, Cape Coral, Florida.
Yeah, that's my notice and demand to the court.
Well, that's 15 pages reportedly by this Miss Flaherty, not you.
I signed it.
All right, go ahead. What do you want me to consider in this document that doesn't seem to have any Kansas authority in it, does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, well, you make your argument and show me where that is. Tell me what Kansas law needs applied and how. Go ahead.
I'm challenging territorial jurisdiction. Is the prosecution ready to provide ownership of the locus and quo of this matter?
He doesn't have to show that he owns that.
No, the state has to show that. I don't even see the state here, ma'am.
Okay. That request is denied. Next item.
I reject that premise.
Noted. Does that mean you... Okay, go on.
Okay, I'm here by special appearance, and I reserve all my rights, and I waive none of them. I am the beneficiary and priority lien holder via a Kansas UCC lien registration number 5676382 over the defendant, the Gary Michael Pelosa Social Security Trust, registration number, last four digits ending in 0762. And as a beneficiary and priority lien holder, I have the authority to order you as trustee to dismiss and discharge this court matter case immediately and release my collateral, the defendant, Gary Michael Pelosa, from the custody of Butler County Jail to the streets immediately.
Now, are you Gary Michael Pelosi or are you someone else?
I'm the beneficiary. Gary Michael Pelosa is a trust.
All right, if Gary Michael Pelosi fails to appear, I'm going to have to issue a warrant for his arrest, but that's kind of silly since you're sitting in the county jail.
I want to process. There's no jurisdiction in this matter, ma'am. There's nothing in the record that showed that this court has jurisdiction. Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution, which you said you swore an oath to, states, those cases in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. You cannot sit here being employed by the state of Kansas and judge a case that your employer, the state of Kansas, pays you for. That's a conflict of interest. Are you a member of the bar in good standing, man?
Sir, at this time, I deny your allegations.
Is your bar number 12910?
Sir, at this time, your motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction is denied, and you can take that up further if you appeal this with the Kansas Supreme Court.
You cannot you cannot deny a motion. Subject matter can be challenged at any time, ma'am, and there's no...
I have jurisdiction, sir, over the subject matter.
There is no subject matter. What is the subject matter? There is no contract.
Denied. Let's move on. What's your next point?
You can't do that, ma'am.
I can.
You're violating your oath of office without any authority, and I have the sheriffs here that can make a citizen arrest to any judge that violates their oath of office. You're violating your oath of office. You do not have jurisdiction. The Constitution says so at Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2.
We'll let the appellate courts decide that, sir. Let's move on. What's the next point?
We don't need it. You can't move on without jurisdiction.
I can and I will.
And did the defendant have a response to that request?
He gave me the name Garrison Michael. It's March 12th of 1958. I continued with my traffic stop. The individual at this point had exited the vehicle for officer safety, allowed him to remain outside the vehicle, went back to my vehicle to run the information through my mobile data terminal.
What exactly did the terminal indicate to you, if anything?
I wasn't able to get a return through Kansas for an individual by the name of Garrison Michael. I met back with the driver to try to confirm the information. At this point, I had already suspected maybe there wasn't full information that the individual was giving me, or I even suspected at this point that the individual was giving me fictitious information. I learned that the driver indicated he was from an address in Wichita, in addition to having previously lived in Texas. In addition to that, there was a name in common with a girlfriend in Platte, Missouri, and was able to find Gary Michael Pelosa with the same date of birth with exacting addresses. The first response was that he didn't recognize who Gary Michael Pelosa was, and in fact, he actually even denied that this was who he was. As time went on through the investigation, in addition to some other things that occurred, to include the discovery of an old Kansas driver's license that bore his image and was found in the vehicle, he eventually explained that he is Gary Michael Pelosa, but he doesn't identify as Gary Michael Pelosa because that's a name that was applied to him. And instead, Garrison Michael is the name that he assumed. And therefore, he believed that he wasn't lying to me by calling himself Garrison Michael. We also discovered underneath the hood, that's where I had discovered the license, the social security card, in addition to a large Ziploc bag full of unused syringes or hypodermic needles. In addition to that, found an amount of green leafy botanical substance, which I identified as marijuana.
Now, once you found these items, did you have a conversation with the defendant about any of the items in the vehicle?
I had learned from from the driver that his position toward his driver's license and the social security card, but in addition to that, he denied ownership over the marijuana, but indicated that he had used marijuana to help him sleep that night before.
And so he didn't claim ownership of the substance that you believe to be marijuana, is that correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Akers, when you were following the vehicle in question, did you ever at any time put your lights on?
No, I did not.
Okay, so how did you end up approaching the defendant?
As previously testified, as the vehicle continued westbound on 54 and eventually pulled into the parking lot at the Andover Quick Shop, I had turned in behind the vehicle. At this time, I had turned my lights on and conducted the traffic stop.
Did you ever talk to the owner or the trustee of the car?
I talked to an individual that was identified as the owner, correct? Yes.
Well, he was identified as a trustee, wasn't he?
The vehicle was belonging to a trust, and this is the individual who I was explained by you was the owner of the vehicle.
Okay, if you're talking to me as me, I never said the trustee was the owner, because the trustee
All
is.
right, you're either gonna wait and testify, or you're gonna cross-examine the witness now, sir. But you're not gonna start testifying in the middle of this cross-examination.
Was the discussion you had with the driver, was it from his window, or was he walking into the store?
As I recall, my initial contact was when you exited the driver's seat and I met with you at the back door of the back passenger driver side door of the vehicle.
Did you say hey or talk to the driver to keep him from stopping, from walking into the store?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so he wasn't aware you were even there until you said, hey, I want to talk to you for a minute. Is that correct?
I can't speak to where the point in which you identified that I was there and trying to make contact with you.
Okay, so when you talked to the trustee, did he give you evidence that the car was properly registered, and did not he show you anything, send you on the phone that proved the receipt that the car was just registered?
Yes,
Mr. Pelosa, excuse me, Mr. Pelosa, when you talk to the trustee, do you mean yourself or someone else?
The trustee of the trust of the car that was registered in. That's what I'm talking about.
Is that okay?
The car is registered to a trust, and he talked to the trustee because the driver the driver had given him the number and the trustee had sent the receipt of the registration.
Okay, stop, you're testifying. So you don't mean that you are the trustee of the vehicle? You're not asking him that kind of
No,
question?
I'm not the
Okay,
trustee.
that's fine, go ahead.
The individual that you told me to speak with as the owner was a guy by the name of Carl Long. However, Mr. Long did send me records through an image of a receipt that he had paid for registration through the state of Missouri for the vehicle.
Did you explain to the driver what you found on your computer when you ran the tag?
Yes, I did.
And what came up on your computer?
That the registration was not valid, canceled, removed.
So you saw a receipt that showed that the car had just been registered, but now you're saying that your computer says it was removed.
That's correct. There was.
You remember the date that was on that receipt of the registration?
No, I do not.
Would it help me if I helped you recollect that that was registered just the day before?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask the court to have the cross-examination of Sergeant Akers continue to be questions rather than testimony by the defendant. I would object to that question.
Sustained.
Okay, did the registration show a date of the registration being just the day before?
I apologize. I don't have that in front of me. I don't know.
How did he show you the receipt? Was it sent to you on your phone?
Yes, it was sent to my department issued cell phone.
But you don't recall the date of registration?
All I can recall is that it was before the date of the stop.
Okay.
I can't specify to the date in which it was because I don't remember.
And you don't have your phone on, you just check that, do you?
No, sir.
Okay. Was there consent given for the dog to sniff out the car?
No, there wasn't.
Did you get consent from the trustee?
As in Mr. Long?
Yes.
No.
Did you have a warrant to search the car?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you just went ahead and searched it anyway.
I searched the vehicle based out of prerequisite case law established in the state of Kansas, which predicates our ability to execute a probable cause search based on a canine deployment, which was done in accordance to established case law.
Okay, what was the probable cause to put a dog on the car?
I didn't need probable cause to deploy the canine.
So the canine operator doesn't need a warrant?
Not in this case, no.
Okay, I have no more questions for this witness. I want to call the state of Kansas to the stand. I get a right to cross-examine my accuser. And I want them to show me a photo ID with driver's license or whatever, state of Kansas clearly printed on it, current street address.
Right, sir, do you have a person with a body that you can call to represent the state of Kansas? Sergeant Akers, perhaps?
Well, you can't represent the state of Kansas without presenting Kansas first. To represent something has to be presented in the first time.
Well, sir, it is your duty, if you're representing yourself,
Right.
to call your witnesses. If your witnesses won't appear voluntarily, it's your duty to subpoena them. You didn't want Mr. Patterson to subpoena anyone for you.
The plaintiff should be in the court, though, or in this hearing. The plaintiff should be here.
Sir, you can either call your witnesses or rest. It's up to you.
I want to testify.
Very well. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Okay, I'm going to testify by doing an oration.
All right. You're Gary Michael Pelosa, the defendant herein. Is that correct?
Yes, I do represent as the beneficiary the defendant, but I have a right to testify for the trust, since I'm the beneficiary of that trust. On the day of question, Officer Akers did not pull me over, did not put lights on, and I was walking into the quick shop on Highway 54 because my car was having problems, transmission problems. It was heating up, and I was going in the store for water. He said, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And I said, "What do you want to talk about?" He says, "Well, the condition of your car." I said, "What about the condition of my car?" He said, "Well, I ran your plates and nothing came back," and that was very curious to me. I said, "What do you mean nothing came back? It just got registered yesterday." When he asked me my name, I said, "I am Gary Michael, but I go by Garrison." I said, I use Garrison Michael, but my name is Gary Michael. I don't use my family name. So there was no intent to deceive him because I told him why. And when he asked me for a social security number, I said, I don't have a number. It's not my number. If you look on the back of the social security card, it says this is property of the Social Security Administration. So it cannot be my property to say I have or I own a social security card. It does not belong to me. So it's not my card. I did admit to purchasing marijuana legally in Missouri, and through the sister clause, I thought I would be able to use marijuana in the state of Kansas because I obtained it legally in the state of Missouri. If I'm wrong in that, I'm sorry. I had no mens rea. I had no intent to do that because I am a health nut, so I don't know why he's doing that, but it's done. And he has no evidence of any field test even on the marijuana, even though I'm admitting that I had marijuana. There's no evidence, and he got caught in stuff, and he changes his testimony. So I just want to make that as a fact here, and I'm done talking.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I am going to render my decision on these counts. So count 1 accuses you of interference with a law enforcement officer, falsely reported to a law enforcement officer any information knowing that such information is false. Well, the evidence is clear from both sides that when the officer asked for identification, he was given a name other than the legal name of the defendant, Gary Michael Pelosa. The defendant says, I am Garrison Michael. I go by Gary Michael, but I don't use my family's name. Pelosi is my family name. Well, that to me is a clear admission that you told the officer a name other than your legal name. When a law enforcement officer is asking for your legal identity, any reasonable person would know to give their legal name. And if you didn't give your legal name, there could only be one reason. Either you're too stupid to give your true name, or the other reason would be that you're trying to keep the officer from knowing who you really are. You did not want the officer to know your given name. He would have found out that you had a suspended license. So I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of count 1, interference by providing false information. Count 2, possession of marijuana. Frankly, when the state rested, I was prepared to dismiss that case. The law is quite clear that field tests will amount to and be considered as probable cause in preliminary hearings, but since we're in trial and we don't have lab reports for proof beyond a reasonable doubt, I thought, well, the state missed that one. But then you testified, Mr. Pelosi, and you admitted every which way you could that that was, in fact, marijuana, that you purchased it legally in Missouri, that you used it to sleep, and that you knew that it was marijuana. So you basically shored that charge up beyond a reasonable doubt. So between the state's evidence and yours, I find you guilty of possession of marijuana. Count 3, driving while suspended. I know you objected to the 2 reports from the state of Missouri claiming they were falsified, but taking the report as a whole, I find your license was suspended on January 21st and that you had a prior conviction for driving while suspended. So I find you guilty of that charge as well. Failure to register your vehicle seems to be the least difficult for me to find you guilty of because it wasn't registered. Now, I know you gave me a good explanation for why you believe it was registered, but most of it was based on this hearsay of the unavailable declarant. I'm convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that the vehicle was not properly registered. So I find you guilty of all charges and will proceed to sentencing at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just did want to point out, it was pointed out to me by staff that an amended information was filed that did dismiss count 4, the registration. I just wanted to have complete candor with the court.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you go, Mr. Pelosi. By taking this to trial, you just got 1 count to go away. Failure to register your vehicle has previously been dismissed by the state, and I will make it formally dismissed with prejudice at this time, meaning it cannot be refiled. Was there anything else you wanted to say before I pronounce your sentence, Mr. Pelosi?
No, I'm good.
Okay. On count 1, interference with a law enforcement officer, your sentence at this time is a $100 fine and 6 months in the Butler County Jail. On count 2, possession of marijuana, no fine, but concurrent 6 months in the county jail. Count 3, driving while suspended after a prior conviction, $100, 8 months concurrent county jail. There will be no sentence on count 4 as that has been dismissed.